Hey, what is happening everyone? Welcome back to another video, and have you ever wondered how well console headsets actually perform outside their native environment? Instead of using the XT wireless headset on the Xbox and the PlayStation Pulse 3D on the PlayStation, how well would they work on your smartphone or computer? And are they any good? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's go ahead and get started by talking about what comes in the box, starting with the Xbox wireless headset. In the box, you'll get the headset, the manual, as well as a short USB cable. When it comes to the connectivity on this headset, there's not a whole lot. We have a dedicated microphone mute switch, we have the Type-C connector right here, we have the power button, the game volume versus player volume equalizer, which lets you listen to your game more, or your players, or somewhere in the middle, as well as the volume dial on the right. And that is pretty much it. The microphone here is not retractable, however, you can kind of push it up, just like so, to get it mostly out of the way. So you're probably asking, how do you connect this headset? Well, there are actually two ways. The first one is Bluetooth, which is the primary connection for the Xbox. When it comes to Bluetooth using outside the Xbox, I was not able to get it running perfectly on my computer because Windows sucks at Bluetooth and the audio was distorted, so that was out of the game. And the same goes for the microphone, as I was not able to use it. Again, this equalizer right here does not work, only on Xbox, and I really wanted to see what the microphone sounded like, so I tried my luck and connected it via USB. And what do you know, the actual audio started working perfectly fine on PC, and the microphone started working as well. So with that, I can give you a microphone sample later on in this video. However, Bluetooth does work on other devices such as smartphones, it's going to work perfectly fine, but again, no microphone. So if you happen to have this headset already, and you occasionally want to use it as a wireless headset for your phone, well, guess what? You can. Now, when it comes to the PlayStation Pulse 3D, well, you have a whole lot going on. The plastic quality, the texture, something about it alongside the PlayStation 5 controller just doesn't sit right with me. The plastics, the textures, the colors chosen, they just don't feel and scream high quality. However, we'll talk about the actual build style and design of this headset later on in this video, as I think it's very interesting. So let's start off right here. The microphone here, I believe, is the ambient microphone, so you can actually listen to the audio that is coming out around your living room, so you can hear people around you other than just your game. Once again, there is the equalizer for chat game control, but it's not a nice dial like the Xbox. That's the switch for the internal monitoring audio, so you can hear your environment. Volume controls, mic mute button, Type-C, and the 3.5mm. And finally, we go all the way around here, we'll find the power switch, which turns on by simply flipping like so. And finally, the actual voice chat microphone right here. When turned on, you'll have an LED indicator right over here. Honestly, the design language of the actual buttons and controls is very primitive, very annoying. I mean, imagine trying to get used to knowing which button does what and where they are. That's not great. Now, as for this headset, it connects in two main ways. The first one is, you guessed it, by a 3.5mm connection. You can go ahead and connect it to your controller on the bottom here, your phone, your computer, or even an Xbox controller. Now when it comes to the primary connection method to your PlayStation, you will be using this dedicated wireless USB dongle, which some may not like, as it does take a USB port from your PlayStation, and it kind of doesn't look all that great just poking out. And finally, in the box for the PlayStation Pulse, you get this nice long USB Type-C charging cable. You get a proper cable on the PlayStation, while on the Xbox you get this short dingy cable. Now let's go ahead and talk about comfort, starting with the PlayStation. You do have indicators on left and right side, which are very easy to read. The cushions here are subpar, as they're not very deep. The front end is thinner, and you can definitely feel the plastic right here, and your ear will actually touch this bottom when you put on the headset. Yes, the drivers here are angled inwards, and it does have some kind of surround sound system they can run inside the native console, which I cannot test. But overall, when it comes to comfort, the only thing that I really like about this thing would have to be this top pad. It's very versatile, very comfortable, and you just mostly don't feel it. It's nicely designed. However, build quality wise, this headset is meant to be thrown across the room. It doesn't have a whole lot of moving parts. It's mostly very solid looking. It's contained. It doesn't have a whole lot of things that can go wrong unless, of course, you smash it against concrete. And it's very flexible, as you can see, so this thing will definitely survive a couple throws across the room if you ever end up raging. When it comes to the Xbox wireless headset, it is way more comfortable. The padding here is premium, the build quality is fantastic, the top pad is not as nice as the PlayStation, but it's not terrible. However, again, I just absolutely love the padding. It's nice and thick, very premium, very cushy, very nice. In terms of build quality, it's also pretty good. The materials and the textures are much nicer than the PlayStation. Overall, it does look nicer, more standard, more modern. The controls are very intuitive, not a whole lot to think about. The mute switch is right on the microphone, and the power button is very simple and easy to get to. So in terms of user experience, this is a way better headset to use day to day, as it makes things very simple and standard. You can tell which one is the right and left very quickly, especially with the microphone being here. and the sliding mechanism feels and sounds amazing. It's very solid, very tactile, just very nice. However, when it comes to actual build quality, can this thing take a beating? Well, the only thing I'm kind of worried about would have to be these sliding controls. They do have some slight give when you actually pull on the headset, but overall it should be pretty alright as long as you don't abuse it. When you take off the headset, you're most likely going to pull from these ends and they're going to slide around and move, and they're going to change your settings, which might not be optimal. However, you could probably get used to it by grabbing it from these ends or these ends. Overall, in terms of comfort, the Xbox wins by a long shot. Now, the claimed battery life for these things is 12 hours for the PlayStation and 15 hours for the Xbox. However, with the Xbox, it's been tested to actually reach even 18 hours, depending on your usage. So about 2 to 3 days of medium gaming and about 2 days of heavy gaming for each of these. Charging times from 10% would probably be around 2.5 hours. And now, let's go ahead and talk about the actual audio quality because it varies a whole lot. It's very different on each headset, and I've got a lot of interesting things to say about these. The Xbox audio is a bit on the muddy side. The bass is boomy, you can actually feel it through the padding, it actually vibrates, you can definitely feel the bass, but it's not that clean. The trebles are kind of high and the mids are kind of way too low where it just drowns out against the overwhelming amount of bass. When it comes to PlayStation, the bass here is not as present, but it's very punchy. It's direct, it's very clean. If the Xbox kind of has this much bass, the PlayStation has bass that is right here. It's very clear, it's very defined, and it's very, very nice. Vocals, when it comes to vocals and mids, they're much clearer than the Xbox. You can definitely hear vocals, you can never hear the storyline in your game. And overall, I would much prefer the PlayStation headset's audio over the Xbox, as it is much cleaner, much more defined, and the bass, although kind of lackluster, it's very punchy and very clean. It's just overall a better listening experience. Next up, we got the microphone quality, and as you can imagine, the microphone on the PlayStation is going to sound much further away than it is on the Xbox. So with that said, here's a quick sample. Alright, so what you're listening to right now is the PlayStation Pulse 3D. We are currently connected through the 2.4 GHz dongle, and as you can hear, there's a whole lot of heavy processing that's being put on here. So let's go ahead and switch to the 3.5mm cable. Alright, so now we're connected directly through the 3.5mm connection, and as you can hear, there's a ton of hissing in the background. It sounds like I'm far away, and it's a clear reason why there was some heavy processing that was happening on the wireless dongle. You can already tell it's going to sound way better on the Xbox wireless headset, since the microphone on that thing is already 2 inches closer to your mouth. So with that, let's go and see what that sounds like. And now we're speaking through the Xbox wireless headset, and as you can hear, the audio sounds much louder. More natural sounding, but in some cases, sometimes it will do some internal processing when it feels like it, where it would do some noise cancellation and cut off small bits from the start and the end of your speech, which is going to make my voice sound like it's pulsating. And I'll say it again, putting this headset on after the PlayStation just feels way better. Overall, both microphones do get the job done. The Sony has less aggressive processing for the audio, doesn't have that pulsating effect, but at the end of the day, we're testing these out outside their native consoles, which is probably going to hinder the quality as it might be tuned differently when you connect it to their respective consoles. And that is all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed me asking a question and answering it myself if these consoles have anything decent to offer in terms of a wireless headset solution made by the companies themselves. Well, the answer is they're alright. They're not amazing, they're not insane, they're not terrible, but both have their pros and cons. The Xbox is comfortable and has some very intuitive controls, very easy to get used to, except the audio is kind of muddy, while the PlayStation is not as comfortable, but it has much better audio and a slightly better microphone. So with that, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.